Well, here we are, and so I did one round, kind of playing with the head to try to keep the head out of the mud, but at the same time try and do a good job. Right here, it just burnt up. You can see it just burnt up. There's no doubt about that one. But it's going slow, very slow, but it's going. The moisture has been hunting between 16 and 20% on the beans. Yeah. The bar will plug up with mud once in a while, and it gets a little tricky through the standing water, but at least the sun came out, and it's 100% better than I was expecting. I was really expecting a lot of growling and slugging, kind of wet beans, but it's actually going quite well. You can see in the mirror, you can see off the head, it's actually making dust. Was not expecting that, so that's nice. I just got to get these opening rounds done, and then then I think we'll switch to running at a slight angle, and that will help with the mud on the head. There's spots, you can see the spots where the combine's just slipping and sliding. So yeah. So I rocked the head back one turn on the turnbuckle, and then I on the back of my switch here, I can hydraulically bring my table up. And if you bring that up a little bit, it levels out them guards some, and that's helped quite a bit of getting that guard out of the mud. I mean, 12 inches of rain in the last month. 12 inches of rain in May, June, in either, 12 inches of rain in June, like, you can deal with that. That is a non-issue. 12 inches after the crop is done, in the fall of the year, when you've lost a lot of sunlight, you have no growing plant to utilize that water. That's setting us back a little bit. That makes it challenging, you can kind of, you can't see, but it's smearing the soil. There will be no no-till next year, that's for sure. By the time I get done with harvest this year, every field's going to have, or at least every soybean field is going to have the finisher ran over it before we even strip till to get ready for corn. Yay, fun, love that. What else you gonna do, You're not gonna leave ruts across your headland and be like, well, I'm a no-tiller, but yeah. But it's going. Sample looks pretty good. The beans are tough enough that there should be very few splits. There's a random little, pop on the reel here and there, but I'm kind of thinking next year, the minute my soybeans hit 20%, I'm out there with the combine getting them, because then late September, early October, we'd have bins already in the cities at the river port, and we wouldn't be dealing with this mess, I'll tell you that. It seems the last 7 out of 10 years have been a complete fight for soybean harvests, and so if you're going to end up drying them anyhow, well, you might as well just start the year drying them and getting them over with. Mud in the end of September is a whole lot nicer than mud in early November. Yeah, look at the water. Oof. I don't know what, there's nothing a guy can do though. It is what it is. I had to stay straight with the rows. Luckily I thought about it, but with my ruts and my wheel tracks, it would make it very difficult to come off, you know, at a slight angle and drift your head over where you already worked for cleaning up your triangles. And so I just have to go straight with the row, and every so often just get out and clean the mud off the head. It is what it is. Yep. Wow, good morning to day number 2. Not much of a day yesterday. Got about 20 acres done in a couple hours, and got the wagons filled up. And morning, kind of a slow start. Everything's cold and frosty, which is okay. Better than fog and rain and drizzle, but so we're gonna dry beans. So we got the system all cleaned out, and the wife and dad, they cleaned up that whole area where the auger is. They cleaned out a bunch of trees and all the grass, and they got that cleaned up really nice. The wife, she'll clean up the little spill pile underneath the hopper there and the dryer. The whole corn is from cleaning out the system of corn going to beans. We got a screener on the end of the dryer there. It works fantastic for getting you know, dust and dirt and weed seeds and your corn fines out. We're supposed to be, you know, grass finish, but we're not gonna let all that fines and that little bit of spilt corn go to waste. That stuff will be fed to the cattle. So yeah, with the beans here, we're gonna get unloaded, and then we're gonna turn the dryer on and start filling the dryer, and then I'm gonna run it manually, batch mode kind of deal, because soybeans, I don't trust soybeans in the dryer to save my life. And so I think I'm almost there. This is hard with you guys here. I think I got it. I'll have to go put the chute on the wagon and check, see if I need to move forward or backward a little bit. But yeah, I don't trust leaving the dryer in automatic mode with soybeans in it. So we'll let it dry for a little bit while I'm unloading wagons, and then let it unload for a little bit, and then refill and re-dry kind of deal. Just batch it and we should be just fine. We're only trying to move, you know, if you're averaging 17%, you only got 4 points to move, and so that should go pretty good. I can leave it, you know, unload and fill while I'm standing here. It's just that when I leave, I'll shut the system off, or see if the wife can sit here for an hour or two while I go refill the wagons kind of deal, just to make sure that dryer, you know, hats off to the neighbor for doing many truckloads of soybeans for drying for people, and still having a facility there. Yeah, but let's get going. We ought to end up with a really nice bean sample, because you can see that little fan is already getting rid of some dust there, and you can see the dust coming out of the dryer. So when we turned that fan on and started loading, and then we got a screener on the end that's going to get rid of any dirt and weed seed and dust, and it'll come out here. So we're grass fed, we're grass finished, but once a year, whenever we do anything back here, we'll feed this up to the animals. Funny story about feeding vines. I'll share here in a few days after harvest this winter. This corn and that corn is just from cleaning up the systems. We'll get it cleaned up and fed up in the next couple days. It won't be here. And then this stuff here is from the fan. When it's running and refilling, it blows up and lands. And so we scraped that up pretty good there. The wife and dad cleaned up the trees, several trees that were here, and then cleaned up all that grass and stuff. And so we're slowly cleaning up around the farmyard, and it's only been 23 years of cleaning and rebuilding, and we're slowly getting there, but everything just takes so much time. You had 20 years of your life where your job had to come before the farm kind of deal, and it really set the farm back for a lot of years. And what do you do? Well, there we go. On our next trip back, we'll fire up the dryer. Now we've had a lot of frosty, high teen mornings. Yeah, I got to pick up my parking blocks. And yeah, let's go get after it. Well, we'll get to the other end, or before we start cutting, and I'll get that mud off the cutter bar right there. There's one row of beans there, but I can't get it because of the ruts of the last two passes. They're just gonna pile all that mud on the cutter bar. It's frustrating, but you tell yourself that one row would be like a half a bushel over the whole distance. But we'll try and clean up this little triangle and see what we can do. So all we got is just a little 5 or 10, about 10 acre patch right around the corner there. These spots are always fun. It's just pure saturated soil that I want to be careful. You can't, you just got to find that right spot with the head, so you don't plow into it, but at the same time try and do a clean job. That is not pretty. This field has been a struggle on soybeans since we've got it. On corn, geez, on corn this field has been fantastic. But on soybeans, a couple of these fields are just kind of like, ooh. So I think a few of them will do corn on corn for a couple years to get them to come around. I don't know. Make money on them? Ain't making money on them with beans. Well, there we go. Last. She's done. The first 60 is done. It, yeah. Oh well. All right, let's get this home, and tomorrow we gotta feed cows yet tonight. Tomorrow we'll fire up the dryer. All right, well, it's just trickling. You can see the meter rolls just trickling. It's been running. They're starting to get some warmth, nothing crazy. So I'm just gonna be careful. Running let them temp just over 150 to preserve quality of the soybean, and got the wagons unloading at the same time. So I just wanted to unload a little bit because there is starting to get some warmth. When I come by here, my glasses fog up, but we are above freezing, so you won't see condensation and that big steam cloud. So we'll grab a sample here. They're not very warm, but we'll check them and see where they're at, and then go from there. We come into our handy dandy Shore 930. He's checking sell. Soybeans is 250 grams. Do not touch. Do 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 do. Loo. There's 250 grams. Soybeans. It's calibrating. We fill that up. Pull that pot out. It says load. We load. We press test, and then we wait. So it's 16.8 at 79 degrees. So we'll shut the unload off and give it a little more time to dry before we continue. The dryer does heat from the bottom up, believe it or not. They've got fins in the fan, so the air isn't just a slug of air hitting the back wall then pressurizing its way back. It's spiraling that air somehow. So, but there is that couple feet at the bottom, or that foot at the bottom, that will be always wet at the beginning. So in a couple minutes I'll turn it back on. We just gotta get that through. Kind of hard to see, I know. It's super dusty, but they're falling. Got a good pile. In a little bit we'll be able to turn that fan on. So we're at 12.3. Been trying to find just that perfect unload speed. It's a little difficult, but it's not, I don't know, it's doable. We're there, and so you could see the weird part is coming out of the beans coming into the dryer, you know, are anywhere from 15 to 20, and the automatic system has a hard time compensating for big swings. But these beans are drying so fast that it's pretty much just unload about as fast as the fill auger can go, and just kind of warm them up a little bit. So if we get to the point where we're dumping, if it actually gets ahead of it, and we can start, you know, getting 14 and 15% slightly warmed up beans dumping, that would be ideal. Yeah, it's going well. It's going well. If they get too hot in there, you do start to see them beans splitting open. So that's why I want to get them through faster, and not much heat on them. Just warm them up a little bit, get them in the bin, and then next week we got some sunshine. Turn that bin fan on and finish with air, and we'll be just fine. And so that's kind of nice, because the speed that it's unloading, it's probably, if it was corn, that's about as fast as I can go combine the wagons, drive back and unload. But in beans, it'll probably actually get ahead of me.